Spinning wheel. We're live. Thank God after some technical difficulties this morning. If anybody sees my friend Adam pop out real quick, he's just got to do something real quick for some watch party stuff. First and foremost, thank you for joining us on this Sunday. It's finally nice out. Some of us can get some stuff done outside instead of sitting in our houses all the time. Thank you for tuning into Evolve Network. This is a show where if you're having a horrible day, we want to bring you out of your funk with some laughter. But we also really try to dive into our community for anything that they need for assistance. It doesn't matter what it is. So we like to educate ourselves first and foremost before we can learn together, because that's what I'll be doing today about some of the stuff that we'll be discussing. So if you're watching today, please do us a favor, as many people as can watch us, to learn, because trust me, there's stuff that I don't know. I'm going to be asking questions myself. Please hit the like and share button. And thank you for tuning in to myself, Sean Carnell, and Adam Wazin on Evolve Network. Our guest today is Ms. Tiffany McBride. And because I don't want to butcher her bio or say anything wrong or mislead anybody, I will let her dive into who she is. We'll get to some questions, what she's been doing, this, that, and the other. And then we'll really get into some conversations and pick her brain on some stuff. But first off, thank you, Tiffany, for joining us today. We appreciate it. Who are you? What are you doing? Are you married? You got kids? Oh my God, what's going
on? Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm willing and open to answer any questions that I can. And if I don't know an answer, I'm willing to go research it for you. So I am a licensed clinical psychotherapist in Illinois. So I'm officially, my title is LCPC, it's Licensed Clinical Professional Counselor. That's too long to say, so LCPC is fine, or just, call me, your psychologist or psychotherapist.
I called you doctor, and you almost got up my butt. I was like, my bad.
Yeah, I'm a doctor to be, but I'm not yet a doctor. So being called a doctor would be lying, I guess, in a way. So yeah, I don't want to get in trouble or anything by saying I'm a doctor, but I'm going to be a doctor. Give me about 4 years. I still have 4 years left. So I am, like I said, I'm in my PhD program. I just finished my first year. My program is at Saybrook University. Guys, go check out Saybrook. It's an awesome college.
Right now.
Awesome, good. And it's online, it's long distance. They're based out of California. Love them. I love this school. And my major is mind and body medicine with an emphasis of mindful leadership and healthcare. So my hope is to bring this research that I'm learning about mind and body medicine into healthcare, because it's not there. And it's not always approved. And so a lot of people, including myself, other universities, institutes, are trying to do a lot of research so that it's evidence-based, so that it can be approved for insurances, or it could be in mental health facilities, other things like that. I'm single. I'm not married, no kids. That's why I'm able to do what I do. I'm a full-time psychotherapist, have my own practice. I work with a group practice right now, which is really great. They have been awesome with just being supportive. And I also go to school full-time. I'm also training to be a yoga instructor right now. I'm always constantly in something to learn. So my life is just about education. Lots of friends. I love my community. My community is kind of where I feel like is my heart. And I often like to spread the medicine there. And a lot of my friends are part of the medicine. And so I want to help elevate them, such as massage therapists, yoga instructors, all those people that are in my town that I love very much. So yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's a little bit about myself. There's so much to say.
What made you, so when we first started talking, I forget what episode it was. We've had a few since then. and you and I first started talking, what sparked your interest in the conversation we were having? Like, hey, I like to talk about that, and I'm kind of in this. Like, I want to talk to them.
Yeah. So Adam has an awesome, like almost daily, some kind of post that makes you think.
His head's gonna get this big.
Really, it's really great because I wake up in the morning and it's already like a thought of something to think about and something to already dive in for the day. So I really love it.
That's why the gentleman's here. He's good at his craft.
Yes. So one day he talked about psychedelics, I think, helping with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like chimed in right away. I was like, oh, I'm so interested in this stuff. And I think I sent like, here's a book, here's this website, here's these resources. And so I think that's how it started. So Sean, then you reached out to me.
Yeah.
And then we decided to talk about it.
I mean, just so you know, like I read his stuff daily too. And I mean, anyone, if you don't, go follow Adam Wazin. Okay, Adam, scrub your list.
All right, stop it.
Listen, if read his stuff, what you realize, get to the bottom, because there's usually always a really good cliffhanger and you don't expect it, and that's when I start laughing.
Well, I try not to do it like that. I try to more leave it open-ended, a lot of my stuff, to let like the comment section answer this shit, because I found like people will always have a way of getting to the bottom of the truth, whether it takes like a little bit of a discussion in the comment section, because I'm friends with like a ton of people who are just like really interesting, like well thoughtful people. And, you know, a lot of times there'll be disagreements, but then they go back and forth. And oftentimes you find that they kind of arrive somewhere near the same thing, especially like when we're talking about things with like psychedelics and meditation and things like this. This just seems to be things that are just like across the board with humanity that we can all relate to. And that's why I'm, you know, very pleased to have you on, Tiffany, because we're going to be able to talk about this stuff. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about was at the beginning of the show, we were talking all before this. I think you said after we went live that you were trying to get into plant medicines, right? And we were talking at the beginning of the show about sort of like the nomenclature, like the ideas and the feelings that get associated with the type of work that you're into, with like psychedelics. And you were mentioning MDMA and like peyote and these kinds of things. Like when people hear that, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? These are drugs. But we're more than fine with going to a doctor and getting all these chemicals and all these things. And I was kind of saying to you, it seems like I've taken those things myself, and I've taken psychedelics too, and these other kind of things you're talking about. It kind of seems like it doesn't seem like the chemicals are really working so great for people. They certainly didn't work for me. And what did work was the kind of things that you're talking about, plant medicines, and tackling your stuff head on, where I feel like the pharmaceutical route kind of takes those problems you're having and helps you stuff them down, not think about them and not address them, where what you're talking about makes you, like, there's no lying involved with this. Like, these plant mother nature medicines will make you get your shit together, and that's why I like that approach better than the chemical approach. Could you speak to that, like what the difference is between those two things?
So definitely. So we are a society that's based on band-aids. Instant gratification, band-aids. Instant gratification, band-aids. So it's really easy to go to a doctor and just say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Oh, it must be anxiety, it must be depression, give you medication. I'm not like against medication at all. I definitely suggest medication for my clients that are struggling really bad, that need a baseline, something to stand on so that they can start doing the work.
Right.
Because sometimes it is a chemical imbalance, and there's a lot of reasons that go into that. But the thing is, it's still a chemical imbalance. And sometimes if they're suicidal, or if they want to self-harm, or they can't function, I do suggest a medication, not 10, maybe 1, but I usually say, go talk to your doctor, of course. So what I have realized in research, and just with like 14 years working with clients, when I would work with clients, they could be on like 10 different medications. And I would try to do some deep work, because I am one of those therapists that just dives in. Like, let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of this and let's knock it out. So I'm kind of
someone
hardcore.
That's in mental health every week. That's hard to find.
Yes. I'm pretty sure it is. But I'm just one of those people like, hey, are you serious? Are you ready to work through this? Because it's totally different than normal therapy. So the medication, it wasn't working with my traumatic clients. It just felt like I was going around and around and around in circles doing like normal therapy with them, and it wasn't helping. So I realized like this is not working, and so I read a little bit about what, like, I've done a lot of research on trauma, and trauma happens when, like, you know, it's not just war veterans, it's abuse, it's rape, but it's also like bullying, it's being criticized by your parent for like all your childhood. Like, all those things are trauma and they get stuck in our body. And so medication,
you're so
what it
right
does,
about that. You're so sorry. If I interrupt, I'll be quick because like we decide memory issues. If I don't get it, I'll forget it. You're so right about that because you know, doing a lot of outreach with veterans, I have to tell veterans that come to my office sometimes. You know, I hear that person wasn't a combat vet. They're comparing themselves, or this civilian didn't understand. I'm like, you need to realize you could be saying that to a mom that just lost a child in a horrific murder or accident or something. Just because you did this and that person did this doesn't mean that trauma is that bad and the same or even worse. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. I'll also give you another resource. It's my website. I have a blog on there. I have like a 4 series on PTSD, on what happens with the brain, why we can't, you know, like, why we don't function very well on medication is because trauma is in a different part of the brain. So the top of the brain, and I'll talk about the top brain and bottom brain. So top of the brain, that's where the medication works. So it helps you just kind of be stabilized, able to be a little bit more logical, not as emotional, and able to work through things. So what people do is they get on medication and they don't go to therapy. So they think that this medication is just something that there's going to keep them fixed and they can just use it for the rest of their life. That's not the point of medication. Right. Medication is just to get you to a point where you can stabilize so you can work through your stuff. Because if you don't work through your stuff, you're not healing anything. You're just putting that Band-Aid on. And so trauma is in the bottom part of your brain, and it's more body-based. So mind and body medicine is so important because you do need conventional medicine. You know, you need your normal clinical psychotherapy, and some people do need medication, but you also need body medicine. So that means yoga, somatic therapy, that's massage, that's Reiki, that's energy healing, meditation, all those things. Those have to do with the body.
You were discussing the PTSD, and I know Adam's got a million questions, so feel free to dive in whenever. As far as like the medications and stuff like that, I don't take any anymore. Okay, I went down that rabbit hole. A huge part of this discussion, which is why we're very excited to have you on, was because, you know, we've all had this conversation with someone in our passing, whether it's something of their interest or not. And I've run into those conversations where, you know, I've been yelled at. I've had people give me an attitude without even laying out like a lot of the facts, because I've done some, not nearly far enough, but what I can find, you know, in Johns Hopkins, Harvard, you know, stuff like that, you know, reputable reports. And what I found in a lot of those reports from someone that has PTSD and going through years of mental health, you know, I did the, oh my God, I'm going to medicate myself, and then I'll let them take care of me. And I don't want that doctor, and screw that. And this one's cool for 2 weeks, and then I'm not going to take, you know, and then I'm going to drink for a month straight. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like when it comes to PTSD, what a lot of people leave out is, and I've read this in a lot of reports. This has been my sticking point. When I say it, I get yelled at because psilocybin helps depression and PTSD. I'm like, did you read the back of all those reports when it said accompanied with intensive psychotherapy? So like that's what I really wanted to, pick your brain on that. And like Adam was getting into, we've done some stuff when we were younger, you know what I mean? Some of us medically microdose and stuff like that. Like, when I used to do some of the stuff when I was younger, for rec, not for medical at the time, where all teenagers ran from the cops in the woods, sorry. If you didn't get enough of a dose, right, you'd get that, nope, and then you get like the body pain, then you'd be in a horrible mood, like, right? Okay, so and each person's body is different. You can't just be like, this works for people from 18 to 25 males, this way, that way in this range. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, from what I've read and what I believe and the discussions I had, you do, because intensive psychotherapy can help on its own. But if you want to do that and really tap into your DNA system, I think that's a great way. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to have people scream in my face, say, you can take MDMA or psilocybin. It'll cure, shut up. No, you're leaving out the part that's very important with that. When accompanied with, and I just wanted to see what your thoughts on that are, and dosing, right? Because if you don't have the right dose, you go into it, you get a bad experience, and then all of a sudden you have a very short body of evidence to say to someone like yourself, that doesn't work, I tried it. Yeah, you tried it once because you went to the wrong doctor, you weren't you didn't have oversight and stuff like that. I mean, it's not going to take one person, you just take a pill and you're good. You're going to have a team of people you're going to have to work with. And that's what my contention of this conversation is. If that works for anybody, I want to try it. Cool. If I can, trust me, if I could take a pill and get rid of PTSD and some of my issues, it doesn't work like that. So that's what I really wanted to pick your brain on, a lot of other stuff. That was one of my main things. I was so tired of getting, I'm like, did you read the whole report? Like 50 of them?
Yes. So if we were to go into, so we're going to talk about psychedelics now.
Nice.
And psychedelics, if we were to get this FDA approved, which a lot of things are starting to be FDA approved, which I'll get into that in a second, and we were able to be, given this medication by a doctor, you need to be accompanied by therapy. So just like you're on medication, if you're on medication, you need to be accompanied by therapy. If you want to do psilocybin, if you want to do ketamine, all that stuff, you need to be accompanied by therapy. About the bad trip, so a lot of times, like a lot of us are probably using drugs illegally. I've definitely used psilocybin and cannabis in life before it was legal. And that's how I had to get to my medicine. But here's the thing is it's not good. Like, you don't get the pure stuff on the streets. So like MDMA right now is it's getting really close to being FDA approved, which means that if it's FDA approved, doctors can start prescribing it, and clinical therapists who are trained in this MDMA psychotherapy can start doing it with people. So that's awesome. But you need all that system. You need a support system. You need your doctor, you need your therapist, and you need your medication. So even if you didn't use psychedelics, it's the same thing for regular medication. You need your doctor, you need your therapist, you need your medicine. So with street drugs, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know the dosage. You don't know if it's laced with something else. A lot of people are having bad trips. A lot of people don't know how to approach psychedelics. So that's the other thing, is how to approach psychedelics.
Right. I feel like them being illegal is completely ass backwards to this approach. Like, where if you have a doctor who has seen good results with these types of things, but you're making him jump through all these hoops, and oftentimes you're making it so he can't even utilize these things to be able to help people, which makes people resort to going on the streets, makes people resort to getting things that they don't know what they're getting without the clinical setting. And it creates this whole avalanche of problems when they could have just gone to a professional who knows what they're doing, essentially a modern day shaman, if you will, who knows what they're doing and can help them, guide them through these things. And just to play devil's advocate here,
Sure.
I don't know if I'm an outlier, but like the whole idea of you need to have a clinical setting, you need to have a doctor be there and go through the thing. See, I was a person where I'll just like be completely honest, like all up until like my early 30s, I was kind of fucked in the head. Like I didn't have my shit worked out. I had a lot of, like you were talking about, trauma that I hadn't worked through, and I was blaming the world for a lot of things, and I was projecting and all this shit. But then I started doing a lot of research into psychedelic mushrooms, and I spent like a few weeks just digging deep and deep and deep, and I went really deep, and I decided that I was going to do it. And I took what they call a heroic dose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went really deep, okay?
Yeah.
And I didn't have a shaman there. I didn't have a clinician there, but I went in.
What'd you take? Like a quarter?
I got what was supposed to be 4 grams, but I showed it to my buddy Crotty, who you know well, and he was like, "Dude, that's way more than 4." So I really don't know. I really don't know what it was, but all I know was I went really deep, okay? And I didn't have a clinician.
You took a dance in the woods, bud. You just didn't know.
Yeah, man. And I didn't have any of these things. But what I did do was go in with the intentions that I wanted to figure myself out. I wanted to explore my consciousness, and it blew my goddamn doors off. And it made me look at the world in a way. It made me start taking accountability for myself. Mm-hmm. It made me really realize like the nuances and intricacies of this world that I wasn't looking at. I was only looking at it in one way, and it opened up my eyes, to which later, after that, very soon after that, I started going to therapy, and I started doing this clinical thing. And from that point, it really started all coming together, because I used the initial foundation that the psychedelic mushrooms gave me and built that upon therapy and shit. Mm-hmm. And I still don't have my shit together. I'm not going to like sit here and pretend like I'm amazing and I figured it all out. I don't, but now from where I was before, with the help that psychedelics and therapy have given me, is something that I don't know if there's anything else in this world that could have got me on the path that, I eventually went on. So I'm kind of disagreeing with you and agreeing with you at the same time.
Oh yeah. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I'm on a different fight for this. So like, I know what you're talking about. It changed me. Like, that is what opened my eyes and gave me guidance and helped me through my trauma and helped me get the help that I needed and everything. And it sucks that it's not accessible to people, because this is eye-opening. But but there's a reason why it's not accessible. I mean, do you guys know the history of psychedelics, of cannabis, and why it was banned near the 1930, 40s?
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, enlighten me.
And then, like cannabis. So cannabis we were pretty much based on, like, the USA was growing cannabis when we first came to be. There's a documentation out there that talks about how Thomas Jefferson used to smoke his pipe, and it was probably weed, because hemp was what they used for paper, for everything. So
the Bill of Rights was written on hemp.
Yeah, so it was definitely a thing that was not a big deal. So it was like I can't remember what date, I'm not really good with dates, but like 1920, 1934, and then early 1900s, where like the prohibition happened, so alcohol got outlawed, and so did cannabis. And it kind of became, I mean, this is a problem that we have in our society, it became a prejudice. So they felt like that was only African Americans that smoked weed. And so they called it marijuana, because it was like, marijuana is actually not a good word to say. It's actually really racist. So cannabis is actually the best way to say it. So like, where does that come from? Why is it called marijuana? Why?
We're being vague because obviously, like, long time ago, I had an engineer fired for making a slight racist comment. That don't fly on the show. But without upsetting anybody that's watching, I don't know the derivative of the word, but just for my own intelligence of, with being vague without upsetting anybody, like, what does it mean?
No, she's just saying what it's propaganda is what she's saying. Like
Okay.
they came up with this word to propagandize a plant that has so many benefits.
Marijuana. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be like saying fuck. Like everyone knows the word fuck is so bad. It would be like attaching the word fuck to like God. You know what I mean? They basically like just taking a substance that has all these amazing benefits and attaching fuck to it. You know, so everyone's like, oh, this is terrible. That's what they did. That's what marijuana is.
So they demonized. So pretty much they demonized it.
Right.
And so so we've been like really miseducated. So
Right.
I'll talk about LSD. So LSD in the 1960s, 1970s, they were starting to do like therapy with it. And universities were, starting, it was like Ram Dass, and Timothy Leary.
Yeah.
So they started that stuff and it was banned. And it was like shut down. So since then, there's still been like underground therapists who have been still doing the research. And now we're able to start bringing it back out, which is awesome. So there's a history. There's so much history to what happened and why. And it's all misinformation. Mm-hmm. You have to educate yourself. So like I have lots of resources if you want to know more about the education of just the history of stuff. Let me know. But I think there's something else. You may be a
returning guest at some point, so just
anytime. So I totally agree with you with the fact that it sucks that it's not legalized and used already. So I am a PhD student. I'm going to be a doctor. I have the hippiness freedom inside of me for sure, but I also know that there's hurdles and there's obstacles, and I'm just one of those people like, okay, let's go trample them. And so I just want to help bring this research. I want to help support more, and I want to spread this because it is eye-opening.
Some of the things that you put on your bio, like, yes, normally Adam can ask you this, but when it comes to this topic, like, I'm a huge fan of throwing myself. I consider myself a chameleon, regardless of the situation. I figure stuff out, and I usually operate better when I'm thrust into a situation. I put myself into it, and then just have to deal with stuff because I'm like, okay. So I actually didn't look up. Usually with guests, I'll look up all kinds of stuff, but with this topic, I didn't look up a lot of the stuff. And Adam can confirm this. I asked him a couple things because I'd rather just ask someone that's in that field and learn from them. We're more of a personal, you know what I mean? We're looking at each other and discussing than reading it from someone that I don't know in some article. You know what I mean? So like things that I want to discuss with you, like biofeedback, plant nutrition, like that stuff, different modalities and stuff for healing. What is that? Explain, and even if I know a little bit about, I don't mind learning stuff a second time, because if I learn stuff a second time, I might pick up something I didn't learn the first time.
Sure. I kind of will tell you a little bit about my own healing journey, because I used all these modalities to get to a point where like, oh, this works. I used to be over 320 pounds. So I was probably over like 100 pounds heavier than I am now. And I was burnt out. I was sick. I was in trauma. I wasn't connected to my body. I ate really shitty food.
Yeah.
I drank a lot. Like I wasn't happy. And I was like in clinical therapy, and I was doing clinical therapy, but I was just like, okay, this is not working for me. So the very first thing I did to really start this journey is I decided to change my diet. And so I went on this plant-based nutrition. Mostly I did juicing for 30 days, changed my life, changed my brain, changed my body. And I lost 120 pounds within like 3 years. Like it was a good maintainable of loss. And so that was kind of like the first. So like nutrition helped me just to change my chemical makeup in my brain and my body.
That was a springboard. That was the beginning. Blink. Yep.
It was the beginning. Then I started going to yoga. And I didn't know anything about yoga, didn't know anything about essential oils. I started doing yoga, and I started to have experiences where I would like get emotional during a pose. And I started to get really connected to my body when I started doing yoga, because I didn't even realize I was so disconnected to this body. So with nutrition and yoga, and I was walking, and I started getting into essential oils. So I started getting into essential oils, which is another form of plant consciousness. Essential oils have different frequencies of energy to them. And that we can go into another part of that. But
this is a great segue from last week's show. We were talking about energies and vibrations.
Yeah. I love this shit.
Yeah. So like I started doing that. And so then somebody introduced me to Reiki. Now Reiki is like a hands-on healing touch modality. And I thought it was weird, and I was just like, okay. And I didn't try it for a while. But then one day I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try this. That also changed my life. So that opened up another form of just awareness. Mm-hmm. And I started to get really interested in energy healing. I started getting really interested in chakras and like all that stuff. And I got really interested in crystals, and I started researching crystals.
Maya's working with Kevin right now, or she'd be on here wanting to jump through the screen.
Yes. Yeah. I know. This is fantastic.
I have my crystals right now. These are my.
When I go up and see them, she's like, "I made you something. This is good for, but just you need to wear it for a week." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. She knows her stuff. Crystals is good stuff.
Yeah. It's fantastic because.
So then you went from there, and then where'd it go?
No.
Okay, yeah. No, keep going.
Okay. Then. Oh man, I would say that I started trying to talk to people about energy therapy, and I got in trouble at my agency that I was working.
I was just gonna say this. So it's frowned upon, right? Like if you were to go to like a scientist and you start talking about Reiki, you start talking about crystals, like what the fuck is wrong with this person, right? But that doesn't mean that this shit doesn't have actual value in reality. Same thing with yoga. Same thing with all of these things that get shunned, even psychedelics. They get shunned.
And so what I'm trying to do now is I'm like, okay, you want science? I'm going to show you science. So I'm definitely one of those like, I'll show you. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I did get in trouble a lot, and I almost got fired.
Which is ridiculous.
And it was because it's not evidence-based. It's not, there's no research. And if I was working for a agency, I have to abide by the rules. And I didn't do that very well. So then I started, I started going into medical cannabis. So I didn't start smoking until I was actually, just to put this out there, I was raped in 2015 and had horrible trauma from that. And so a year later I started, a year later I started smoking. And that opened up so much. So I was pretty much, I don't know what's going on.
He's doing something. But yeah, so you use cannabis to deal with that trauma of that? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sean's gone.
That's awesome.
He'll be back, I hope. So you basically, what you're saying is like you use cannabis and like plant medicines and some of the things you're talking about to deal with like the extreme trauma that you had to deal with in 2015.
Sorry, guys, had to tell the kids to stop having 5 computers open at the same time.
Unfucking believable. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Just love them.
Kids. Kids.
They're great kids. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually, I started using it, and it actually just started showing me lessons.
Using what?
Cannabis.
Oh, okay.
And it started showing me lessons, and I was able to process all my trauma that I hadn't processed at all. So it brought up so much of my stuff, and go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to ask because it brings up an interesting kind of idea. Like, the idea that some things to me maybe go beyond science or unexplainable, like that maybe can't be put on a graph. I think that there's certain things about Mother Nature and certain things about consciousness that maybe we want to call it evidence-based, but there's certain aspects of consciousness and these things that go outside of the ability to put this on a graph. Now, you use cannabis and use psychedelics in a way that helps you heal your trauma. It helps you get in touch with yourself. Mother Nature. Like Mother Nature has things involved with it that's, I think, probably spiritual. Maybe that's going out on a limb, but that's something that science doesn't like to get into. Things that you can't put on a graph, like you're communicating almost with Mother Nature here. It's like a lesson that's being shown to you by your consciousness, by living plants that aren't chemicals that you can put a microscope under and go, oh, the reason this is happening is because hydrocarbon A is introduced. But like there's things that go outside of that, and science doesn't like to, like traditional science doesn't like to delve into these things that you can't examine under a microscope. But yet here's all these examples of these people doing all these things and figuring this shit out that's unexplainable by science or hasn't been explained by science, but gets completely dismissed. Get the fuck out of here. Unless I can have a guy in a lab coat show me a full breakdown under a microscope and put it on a graph, and it's bullshit. And I think that's I don't think that helps that way of thinking. And that's my opinion.
I get it. I get it. And unfortunately, we have to go this way.
It sucks.
I know, I totally get it. So actually, you brought up a really good point. I'm pretty sure my dissertation is going to be based off consciousness.
Good.
Yes. And that means I want to know I want to know about what happens if our consciousness in hypnotherapy, when we meditate, when we do yoga, when we do EMDR is another modality that I'm trained in. That's amazing for PTSD. It's eye movement reprocessing. It's a back and forth with light or finger. I do tapping, but it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. It saves.
You know what? I'll let you. People that have been on our they've heard my story. I'll be very brief. You know what I mean? Had a lot of stuff going on. I've only had I say this to myself, I've only had a new brain for 5 years. So I had my aha moment was my best friend from the course, committed suicide. That the way the doctor explained to me, I went from being normal to just I wasn't me. I was acting where I was making decisions that I normally wouldn't make. I was doing things I was starting to not like things that I used to love. Like my brain and he said it was one more log in the pile. Yeah. So like I went through that down that hole of doctor after doctor. This one's okay. Oh, you're quitting in 3 weeks. Got to do an intake and an intake and an intake before another doctor. Oh, that doctor sucked and it took 2 months to get this. Don't want to go for 4 months. Back, get a new one. You're great. Oh my God, I want to transfer you. You graduated. Now you get a different doctor. They only want to see you once every 3 weeks. But that one likes to push pills. Not just right off the rip. Every month up the dose. I'm like, no. So I started to get into cannabis. Actually, I used to smoke and dive into some stuff when I was younger. Smoked a lot. And I really didn't smoke regularly until about 2 years ago. I mean, now it's every day. And I remember my friend Sherry took us, one of the green nurses. So we have a green nurse community here in Massachusetts. It's great. And she said, she's like, I was like, went over her house or her studio one time, and she had like 25 different, methods of ingestion or smoke or oil. So I'm like, man, you get a lot. She was like,
I'll be right back.
It looks like a lot, but I don't use all that every day. She's like, one day I might just want that. One day I might want 4 different methods. One day I might want nothing. So, it took me a while to actually go, okay, so I had to be my human petri dish. I mean, I already knew what cannabis does. I know what different types of cannabis, edibles, mushrooms, I've done LSD, like all that stuff when I was younger, okay? But medicine and cannabis has come a long way from where it was when I used to regularly smoke. I mean, the stuff is, it doesn't come in brickweed form, it's engineered and whatever. So I finally got my stuff today I'll take a drink if I need an edible drink. Today I'll just take CBD. Today I'll take my tincture. Today I'm taking all of it because I can't get out of bed. My back's killing me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I got in that. It takes some time, to get there.
It does. And so that's the other thing is there's no dosage system when it comes to cannabis. That one other thing I want to kind of get into is learning how to be a cannabis coach, because dosage is different for everybody, different kinds, different. I mean, there's so many things out there. So it's hard because, yeah, you have to like figure yourself out and figure out how your body works with that. And unfortunately, it can go really bad because some people have really bad experiences that they didn't have to have a bad experience.
Yeah.
But they overdid it. And so now they will never go back to that. They won't try it again because they had that bad experience because they took too much of a dose that they just didn't know better. So that's not good. We don't want people having bad trips and stuff like that. And so that's a lot of problems of like, we were talking about intention. Intention is so important. If we're talking about Mother Nature and we're talking about if there's a spirituality with her, which there is, and that's another thing I'm working on is research on spirituality. You need to respect it. Like, this is a precious medicine that it's going to change your life. And
it was given to us and it's here. So don't. Yeah.
Right.
It was given. It was gifted to us for sure. And I have insight about that, but I won't go into that in that show.
I was going to kind of pick your brain about that actually, real quick. Do you think that there's
real quick? We got time, dude.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to be a hippie right now, and I'll tell you my experience with this. Before, I wasn't really that spiritual of a guy before I did deep into psychedelics. And when I did, I felt like I got connected to whatever you want to call it. I'm going to use the term Mother Nature. I felt like I got connected to this like feminine presence, like a motherly thing. And it like, she somehow spoke to me like in a feminine, like a mother would. It's very difficult to explain. And I saw aliens.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I saw aliens. I saw a whole bunch of different weird things. But the overwhelming thing that I couldn't let go of is that like the Earth, like we're living on this planet, and like the consciousness of the Earth spoke to me, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Is that like that sounds crazy to a lot of people when I say that, but that's what it felt like, and I have no proof. This is another thing. You can't put that under a microscope and be like, see, Adam wasn't telling the truth because this chemical. You can't ever prove that, but it was so real to me.
You can't prove faith. You can't really prove it.
Right.
Don't start a second argument.
But guys, I do have research on how faith actually is helpful for the body. So I have that in I have a shaman within.
Adam asked me, I have a higher power. Yeah. It doesn't have a face or a light or a sound.
No, it's whatever. Yeah. I also have a very good close connection to the earth too, but it's different for everybody. Yeah. Like, it's whatever speaks to you. And so like for me, she speaks to me. And so like I definitely have gotten messages, like I said before, like I've been able to get really awesome lessons from her.
Yeah. Yes.
When you do meditation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So these are two things, like these are like the last pieces of I mean, this has taken 5 years and I'm finally, it's funny to like, when I get to hug this kid, I haven't seen him. I mean, I've seen him, but like, he's going to realize I've
digitally
dropped so much weight and been healthy, I've been trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the last piece is some of that, you know what I mean? To bring
mind, body.
Together. Yeah. Right? So yoga and meditation. So yoga specifically. So I have a lot of injuries, disabled that, we discussed hip surgery, 2 shoulder surgeries, traumatic brain injury, bulging disc, fractured spine. I actually am leaving. You can't make this up. So Adam knows of the pit bull attack of the day. All the information is down. Guess what? My left knee, the patellar tendon feels like it's torn, and I'm going to the ER right when we get off. So like I'm in 2 pain clinics, right, and stuff like that. I deal with it up here because I'm just a meathead and I can put pain somewhere else. But as I'm getting older, it's like maybe I should respect that a little bit more. I'm in bed all day, you know what I mean? But like the yoga for fluid movement, because my gait's off, I'm really sweating and stuff like that. Like, how long did you really start doing that before you were like, you're doing a pose and you're like, woof, you get a feeling that was different from when you've been doing it from before? Where you're like, okay, I need this.
It gets emotional sometimes, you were saying, right?
Yes, especially for people that have trauma.
Yeah.
Because what happens, so you talked, Sean, you just mentioned something I want to kind of bring up. You talked about how you're in so much pain and you're able in your mind to like dismiss that and deny it. Well, what you're doing is you're repressing and you're suppressing your trauma. And so you're constantly putting it back into your body. So what happens when we're traumatized is something happens, like a dysfunction of energy, and we become stuck. So if you were injured in a certain place, you might have, like if you were injured in a certain place, you're definitely going to have trauma there. But the trauma of what happened to you and the trauma that you have to go through still, and then you're still repressing that, like you're continuously keeping that in your body. And so then you're going to still get worse and worse and worse.
So I need to let it out. I can't be like, oh, I can stick to that. I need to get it out because then my body can probably, at that point, does your body, I would assume maybe your body probably might be using the wrong word, release like endorphins or something like that. Like, hey, okay, we're releasing this stress.
Yeah.
I want to give you a book. You need to read this book. This is what changed my life. So this is what made me quit my corporate job and go on my own. It's called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yes. That book changed so a lot of things changed me, but that book really changed how I understood what happened with me, as a child and trauma. Like I couldn't speak very well, and I was considered kind of stupid, but I was kind of an airhead and all this stuff. And I'm reading this book and it's talking about the trauma effects, and all of these symptoms they're talking about is something I struggled with as a child or as an adult. And I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, people have been just calling me stupid and like emotional and crazy, but I have PTSD. Like I have something that's literally something going on with me. That book will help you understand what's going on with your body. It'll help you understand what's going on with your brain. And then it does talk about these holistic modalities that I'm presenting. So it really is my catalyst. Like it's my book that I say this just started my business.
What's your best explanation when someone asks you, and then I'll turn this over to Adam for a question after, for like the way I try to explain PTSD, how it works, the way you feel and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And you also have different levels of it, right? Like I've had to do 3 rounds of CPT. You know what CPT is? That was in the VA, right? That was 12 to 24 months per incident. That's why I had to do 3 rounds, right? Family stuff, suicide, literally homeless, living on the street for 9 months. That's like when I got out of the military, you know what I mean? So whatever, like all that sparked, like I said, the doctor one more log in the pile. Then you get into, and I found myself, if you're really not, and I'm a huge advocate for therapy, but people, if you're listening, if you do not like your doctor, there's a very quiet and polite professional way of just getting another one without even getting into your doctor. Don't just leave. You can just very quietly, whatever hospital ministry, they literally have those procedures put in place to go and really try to guide you, and they want you in there. Okay, I'm a huge advocate for mental health, but like the way I try to explain how it happens, you have your triggers over the last 5 years with multiple doctors. I've worked on what those are, you know what I mean? Mood, environment, behavior, stuff like that. I got it down, but I still have days. And what it feels like to me is sluggish visually. The TBI, I have a little bit of stuff in my eyes. I usually have glasses. But like it feels like slowed, sluggish, labored thinking where you really can't boom, 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 boom. It's like boom, whoa, I'll take a right, and that shoe's calling for what was I taught? And it's just boom. And then my eyes kind of, it feels like the sunlight, it doesn't bother me. It feels like everything that's light just kind of turns whitish gray. I'm like, I'm having all right. And that's when I kind of go, I know that, all right, I have to go get one of my medicines that I know when I'm in that funk would work, right? It takes time. Again, people, I'm hammering on this. That's why you really need a doctor when you do this stuff, because trying to figure stuff out, you're out. Trying to figure stuff out yourself, Jesus. You know what I mean? You could make a mistake and you could overdose, and then that could spike. I don't like this experience, and then I'm going back to big pharma, which nobody wants, and then you're creating a bigger problem when that could have helped. You just dealt with maybe the wrong person. You know, I mean, what do you explain to patients that and then I'll turn to Adam, like if they, well, do I have it or not? I mean, I've had patients in my office, you know, because I do health benefits and stuff like that, and when you have so many thousands of people in your office, you can see it, especially when you have it. You know what I mean? Yes. Especially when people are trying to mask it or not tell you because they're embarrassed. They don't understand. If you just dive into it, you're like, this is actually my freedom. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you say when people either go back and forth or, no, I don't think I have any, like, I'm not, you know, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm in the hospital. I have it. I speak with I know what it is. I see the signs.
Yeah. So first of all, anybody that wants to know if they have PTSD, go to a trauma-informed therapist.
Trauma-informed therapist.
Trauma-informed therapist. So somebody that works probably with EMDR knows trauma. It's a new thing. All the research about trauma is new. It's only been out for about 20 years. They started doing more studying in like 2010 on the effects of trauma and PTSD. So it's all very new. And so there's not a lot of trained therapists in trauma-informed. But you need to very first thing, because people can come to me, they tell me their story already, and I'm just like, you have PTSD. Like like it's easy, like, oh yeah. And you know, most people that come to me want to see me and they kind of know that that's what I work with. But I also talk to people about, like, if you don't like me because I'm kind of different, if I'm not your cup of tea, that's okay. Like, this is a relationship that you really actually need to make sure that you have a good therapist with, because you're opening up about stuff that you have never talked to anybody. So if you have a therapist or a doctor that you don't like, that dismisses you, that's not getting to the points, find another one. It's kind of like dating. You kind of have to figure it out. Like,
it's easier. It's easier. You don't have to go through the breakup. You just have like a really polite, like, you'll take care of that. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I usually understand. I mean, most, like with me, I just always know, like, okay, I'm not really helping this client, and they already knew that, like, they feel that too. So it's really mutual. Usually, it's like, hey, I think that I may not be the best fit for you, but I think that we can find some other resources for you, because a lot of people that are have trauma. That's what I usually work with. If it's like major depression and stuff like that, I'm not as aware. I think it's not my specialty. You know what I mean? So like there are certain doctors and therapists that have their specialty, and mine happens to be trauma. So
yeah, it's interesting, the trauma thing. Like, when I talk to a lot of people about a lot of things, and I try to be like their therapist without the degree, I guess you would say. And I've noticed that basically everybody has trauma, like whether they realize it or not, because I'll poke them and I'll, not poke them, but I'll try to get to the bottom of some things. And there's always something, there's always something from your childhood where someone invalidated you or dismissed how you felt about something. So you altered that behavior and you became this other person to become accepted by the masses, where you don't even really feel like that. You don't even really believe like that. But someone made fun of your Nike sneakers in third grade. And now every time you wear Nikes, now you get this feeling inside. You're like, I can't ever wear Nikes again, because it's just an avalanche of all of these tiny little things. You got made fun of for something in school, and someone picked on you because you were overweight, or you were too tall, you had acne, or whatever it is. And these things build and build and build. And you construct this other person, make pretend person, so you don't get made fun of, so you don't get invalidated and dismissed. I think what happens is a lot of people become this other person, this mask that's not their person. When you go through your life and you're constantly the mask and you're never who's really deep inside, all that trauma built up inside, you want to be who you really are, but you're the mask, but you can't be because of this trauma. And I've noticed that in a lot of people's problems, we're like pretending. A lot of us go through our whole lives pretending so we don't get made fun of, we don't get outcasted, because I think, me personally, it gets into the DNA of who you are. Because in order for survival, like if we were to go back to like our hunter-gatherer, like how we evolved, if you get outcasted from the crowd, you're going to die. You can't survive by yourself. You need the pack. And if the pack says, when someone makes fun of your acne, that's or your political opinions or whatever it is, and they outcast you, in your mind, in your DNA, that's the equivalent to, oh my God, they're going to leave me and I'm going to die. So you have to make these adjustments.
Yeah, and that's survival mode. So we're in constant survival mode all the time.
Right.
And like
fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly. That's trauma. That's PTSD. We're constantly in fight and flight. And so, yes. Okay, so really, to tell you the truth, everyone pretty much has trauma.
Yes.
We are a society based on trauma. Society trauma. Right now, we're in a collective trauma.
Yes.
Pandemic. This is trauma. Like,
huge amounts of it.
And I know as a therapist, I'm going to be needed extra after this pandemic because people's mental health is probably not doing very well. And they have these resources.
I said this to Adam. I've said this to a few people, and you're right. You're 100% right about that. I mean, the VA's called me, right, because the hospital's closed. You can't even go. I have to go to a regular hospital today in the emergency room. And if they say no, I have to call the ambulance just to get me in there, right? Because the police already told me I could, whatever. What was I saying, Adam? Quick lot. I just lost it.
Right? You were talking about trauma.
Get to see it right in person.
So right now we're in a collective trauma with a pandemic, and so you're talking about all the changes that you have to go through just to get your needs met.
Yeah, so like medicine, that's where I was. See, you got to see the TBI stuff right in person. So medicine, right? So like when I first started the trauma, medicine, like the doses. What is your thought? I mean, obviously I would assume you're not a fan, right? Myself too, but there are certain medications you need for certain things, surgical procedures, right? Inflammation, whatever. But I don't know why. And a lot of people trash in the VA, and I don't work for the VA. I work in the VA. I work for the VFW. I work with them, but whatever. They have good doctors and stuff, but it seems to be specifically with the mental health doctors a huge pill pushing problem. I mean, I said this the other night. I could go over. I don't want to right now, but I have pill bottles that they send to the house. I take one. It's for blood pressure. And the only reason why I have to take blood pressure, probably going to come off it this year because I just lost a ton of weight, right? Eating healthy and stuff like So I'm like psyched to get my test done for that. But it's like mirtazapine, fluoxetine, Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft. You know the gamut of the SSRIs, right? Go down the list. They're filled. I may have tried a few. I know there's a loading process. A few years ago I tried, and they just made me feel like real sluggish. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I was like, I wasn't me. You know what I mean? I was like, no. But they don't just give you the pills and push them. Within 1 month, they up the dose. Within the second month, it went from 15 to 30 to 60. I'm not taking it. And you know why I have the pill bottles? And then my wife has asked me, why do you have those? Because we have to have it. I have to have I'm in a lot of meetings with hospital staff and whatever, regulatory people from we discuss what's going on in the hospital and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take those in a backpack with about the 40 other bottles that are filled in my bathroom when I do have to sit in front of someone and it's a meeting and we have to discuss, what is the issue, why people aren't coming to mental health and the numbers are dropping. I'm just going to take my bag out and go, they're all filled.
Can I just
I'm
add
a beacon of hope for you guys. Didn't need them. And there is a huge fight for cannabis and MDMA in the VA, but any reports that you've read, it's really close. No, because we have a Washington office and that's far away. I'm like,
can I just add another layer to your question, Sean?
Yeah.
Is there everything Sean just said? Is there another financial interest on top of that, where he was saying he's getting all these pills in the mail, and now it's up your dose, and now it's take more of this, and now it's this, and now it's more and more and more and more. Is there a financial interest in taking all these drugs and having all this money be spent into all these chemicals, as opposed to? And I'm not a person who's just trying to completely shit on drugs, because as you were saying at the beginning, there's a place for these things to maybe wean you off and get you to a point where you can look at yourself and do all these things. I just mean, is there a financial interest, and how does that line up to the financial interests of plants, where there's really not? And is there a reason why plants aren't as pushed on you, plant medicine, as these
Adam,
chemicals that can get patented?
In the VA, I thought you were talking to me in the VA. No, but the other stuff, yeah. I'm going to let her answer. Yeah, but I'll get to why the VAs know that I've actually have literature on stuff.
No, I just mean the big picture, the establishment in general.
Let me explain
the amount of money.
Yeah, let me explain this to you. The VA actually took the medication that we were getting. Like, say you got, I'll just use any medication, Prozac, whatever. You got the major company that made and, facilitates and sells Prozac. Well, about 5 months ago, they decided in their budgeting plan, to not put an entire inclusive, full-on mental health staff with physical therapy and gym inclusive, change the look of the VA to get younger generations because we've been in war for 20 years to come in. No, they decided to put a parking lot in. And along with that, at the biggest parking lot in West Roxbury, where you're never looking for a spot. Thanks, VA. What they did, and with that, they had some packages going on. They decided to not give us the high-end medication. They give us the generic version as of 5 months ago of medication. So I'm not getting Prozac. I'm getting Walmart Zifu Tryptophan, whatever the hell, that is a similar form that I wasn't prescribed, that may have a little bit of stuff that might offset what I have going on. No, we're getting so there's no financial gain. They're actually lowered it. They're feeding us shit.
Well, you're still now on a drug that you're going to have to take, and they're going to keep upping the dose. And you're still filling someone's pockets. Where if you were to take plant medicine, you might have to do something, a big dose once, and then do micro dose and things. And you can't patent a plant. You can't make all this money off of this shit that you can't patent. And that's just my bias that I'm trying to say. But I'll let you answer that, Tiffany. I'm sorry. I just feel like I wanted to add that.
That's okay. So a lot of this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
Not necessarily research. I'm sure I'll do more. I think the VA has been really taken advantage of. They are not getting the services that they need.
Nope.
At all.
To the point, even if you pass out on. So I work with the director's office, right? So you could talk to a lot of people in the VA. They'd be like, blah blah blah, and I'll be like, no, I was in the meeting. No. They are getting shafted on all that stuff. For example, if you overdose on a drug right now and went to any emergency room, the VA actually 5 years ago implemented an act, and this is, they have so many things all across different boards, mental health, physical, whatever. It's called the Home First, right? So if a veteran comes in, I have an addiction, whatever, they have to take care of him. He detox. Oh, you're homeless too. They have things in place where they are supposed to follow guidelines and policies and make sure he has somewhere to go and blah blah blah. They just kicked them out. They actually for 5 years haven't even implemented a plan nationwide that they have, and that's just one plan. And there's multiple across. I have argued with. I'll give you some stories. A gentleman that came in. And he finally weaned himself off opioids that he was put on from his service-connected injuries and had surgery, and they shoved down his throat, right? And then they didn't just keep feeding him; they upped the dose. He finally, 2 months off opioids, methadone, down to Suboxone, because there's laws in our state. I'm sure they change, and they have to get you down to a certain number. Paraphrase, I think it's 20. I think it's 24 or something, some percentage. But this gentleman's blood level was at let's say the number was 24. That's probably incorrect. It's close to that, 24.2. So that 0.2, sitting there with the director's office and a doctor, the chief of medicine. Yeah, by the time we get him a bed in a few hours, he's down. It took 2 months. Because of those 2 hours, the benefits office, because you have too many people of an older generation, a lot of the arguments I get in with are people that are 25 years older than me. You don't know how it works now. Yeah, shit needs to change.
Yes.
Things aren't the same 25 years ago from now just because you haven't been working, collecting a check. Get the out of here. Enough. I get very frustrated with the VA. They have good doctors. They do. They have some bad doctors. You're going to find that anywhere. The way that you implement your healthcare isn't easy. You have to. For example, I had hip surgery. I had a 2-week follow-up with crutches. The doctor took the crutches, and the two hospitals were 4 miles apart. Go see this physical therapist right now. takes the crutches because he wants me in physical therapy. He wants me moving because I know if he left them with me, I'd have been using it at home and not healing. Get the physical therapy, do a 2-hour assessment. Yep, you need to be here twice a week for 6 months. Your gait's off, you have your back's off. You were just in here for your knee. Like, we got to do a lot of work, and it's in the pool, very intensive. Okay, and I already know the physical therapist. I then get to the scheduler. So I've seen the surgeon who probably makes $200,000 a year, the PT making $100,000 a year, and someone they're paying maybe $30,000 right off the rip. I need to be here twice a week per orders of the surgeon, per orders of the head of physical therapy of the pool. Here's the thing. Okay. First available appointment without even actually having any human element of a conversation. 90 days, that's the earliest I can do, sir. Now, pause. I'm sorry. I just had hip surgery. You want me to not do PT for 3 months? Gee, you think my hip's going to be having problems and my knee and my back? No, nothing I can do, sir, because I'm me. And I know the hospital. Crutch down to the director's office. It was like half a mile. Crutch back. They found an appointment. No, they didn't. You're just looking at it. You shouldn't even be here. That's a huge problem with the VA. You have good doctors that will do. Nope, we're backlogged. Okay, hire some more doctors. We can't. We just spent $12 million on a parking lot that we didn't need because we have the biggest parking lot and it's never filled. I am in the position I'm in to help fellow veterans with that have been wronged because I can see all their stuff. I can see the doctor stuff. I can see, their history, and to just go, no, I'm going to sit here and fight for you. Enough is enough. And you know what? When people with trauma come in like that, and I'm lucky enough to sit in the seat where I love my job. I love helping people.
Yeah.
When you get to see, I've had people cry in my office, like, whoosh, you get to see that. And then you hear, I asked this person this. You know how much more trauma and stress that added when you finally work up the courage and finally open the cabinet to get rid of your demons, and then you get it on no. It's horrible.
Yes, and people give up. They give up at that point.
To the story with that gentleman, what happened? I fought with the benefits office. They said that we can admit him tomorrow. I was like, no, you need to do it now. Nope, not gonna. The benefits office got in huge trouble with this because I'm me. $155. I've been homeless. I've been homeless, not couch surfing. Homeless in the park. I know what that feels like. $155. Drive him, get him some Chick-fil-A, get him a meal because obviously it looks like he doesn't eat. He's gray. Get him to the hotel. All you have to do is walk 200 yards tomorrow. You're good. That small separation added more stress. Gone. Never to be seen again. 3 months, 2 to 3 months, he got himself off drugs to build the courage. And because some a-hole at the hospital didn't put any human thought or empathy into what, there's no such thing as you can't get something done. I can't stand when you go, to get anything done. It doesn't matter if you go to U-Haul to rent the tool, Walmart, you go to the hospital, get your health care. When you run into people that you just, nope. When you know they could just go, hold on, pause, come with me for 2 minutes. I love those people. I cannot stand the people that don't realize they're causing way more harm.
Yeah.
By not helping.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to that kid, but I hate that. I hate when you're right there and it took everything in the world for that person and you to get right there, and then it's because of someone else's, not carelessness. That sucks. I hate that.
It does. That sucks really bad. There's
because it's like you got let down again. It's just ads.
Yeah, there's another need out there, and we need to teach doctors on how to be patient-centered. They didn't get those skills, or they probably didn't get a lot of classes on how to do that. And so that is so important because you are the first person that they see. So if I have to make sure that when someone talks to me, I'm super friendly, open, because it really lets them to be open. And then I have them, you know what I mean? So if I'm I don't have an appointment until 2 weeks from now, are you going to want to work with me?
Yeah. I'll go to appointments and I have so many things, thank God some of them are starting to wind down, but over the last couple of years, pick either year over the last 2 or 3, and it's 155 appointments this year, 172, that's appointments, surgeries, therapies, tests,
Okay.
It's a full-time job. You get tired of doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really want to get away from it. And I have. I'm kind of venting into like a little bit of pastime. It still bugs me that I had to go through years of hospital visits. But my doctor is young.
Yeah.
And I love her. She follows up.
Good.
She doesn't do I'll see you in 6 months. She's like, all right, after you have that test, come back. I'm like,
Okay.
love you.
Good.
Yeah, she's great.
Well, and here's the other thing we need to work on in getting things into like the VA system is massage therapy. Like I have a good friend who's they have a massage therapist, but she's also a physical therapist assistant.
Hey. Oh, my wife. All right, come here. It's Mom. Hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you were saying massage therapy, like chakras and shit?
So like she's a massage therapist, but she's also a physical assistant therapist, and she's like trained in different modalities, and she helps people like you, Sean. Like she finds different ways to work with your body to get healed. Like, so that's what this is mind body medicine. This is not really in the medical system. I mean, massage therapy and acupuncture is starting to become a part of the system. It's now being widely accepted, just like yoga is. So it's a slow trickle, but you may have to look into other modalities. Have you ever tried energy therapy?
So right now, there's a problem with the VA system. So I'll let you know some things. So you'll be better equipped if you run into a vet, right?
Yeah.
I'm a federal veteran service officer. I can do paperwork for anyone in your state. You're a federal veteran service officer for the VFW. He could do anything for anybody in the state. Once you go down from there, you have like town VSOs, nothing, right? So I have all those records and access, and I know the benefit side of the house because I'm in the hospital. Mm-hmm. The VA, sorry, get me back on track.
We're talking about energy healing.
Oh no, massage therapy. So it goes into right. So that's on the community care side. So if they don't have that in-house. So in-house in the VA, I can only refer to Massachusetts or Boston healthcare system, which Boston has 1, 2, 3 major hospitals and like 4 or 5 communities of care, COCs, right? That are hospitals and stuff like that. They have a network all over the state. Community care is the outside network. So you have to know the legalities. So myself, 100%, right? I am a tier group 1. So any veteran that is 50% or higher, they're in tier group 1. Once you're 50% and higher, it doesn't matter if you're only service connected for PTSD and 2 shoulder surgeries. You break your hips, surgery, everything covered. That's it. Yeah. And because you're in tier group 1, you don't have to wait for a 30-day wait. So if you run into the situation like I did and you go to physical therapy, 90 days, all you say is, okay, it's longer than a 30-day wait. I'm in tier group 1. You have to, by law, refer me to community care. They go, okay. Community care is when they kick it to an outside doctor for massage therapy. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. They'll send you. When you get community care, it's fast. It is so much faster than the VA healthcare system. Those doctors call you quick, get you in, boom. So I go to acupuncture. I've done massage therapy stuff. Acupuncture I've found has been a godsend. Okay. And just like mental health doctors, you got to find the right acupuncturist because I went to. Well, this one doesn't just do needles. He does needles with vibration, with smelling sense, with a 5-minute talk of meditation to get you boom down. And I didn't know that your body could actually physically release stress. So when he was pulling the needles out and I was good, I was like, hey, my body bounced twice like off the table. He was like, nice. That's the stress leaving your body. I'm like, what? He's like, it can physically leave. I walked out of there like, wow. That was great. But once you get 50% blower in the VA, which is horrible, there's 8 tiers. There's 7, 10 to get to 40. There's 1 from 50 to 100.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid. Right? So 30-day wait for community care. Why don't they want to, release? They've been releasing. The VA's made mistakes with just getting lazy because people in the VA healthcare system in my state didn't want to do their job. They were doing too much community care. So the director got a win, cut that down. Now, because people made mistakes and were lazy and the VA didn't want to do the job, we now don't have as much community care because you guys screwed up. And now you don't want to pick up the phone and it's a 90-day wait for. It's like you can't win. I get in because of me. I shouldn't get special access. I should be Joe Blow off the street getting treated the same way you treated a janitor or a CEO. It's unacceptable. There's so many things that could go into the VA, like things that I know that I can't even say. I'm like, if you only knew. If I wanted to, and I don't want to, but I've had a couple of times where I got so pissed off because I've seen the atrocities of some cases, like a gentleman who had lung cancer from Vietnam, and they pulled his jaw off to go through and take his lung, drop him from 100% financially while he was retired down to 10. Now he's got to go to work, give him back a fake jaw, and then deny him a dental claim. Stuff like that. I could take this system to its knees from the top down. Secretary Wilkie, he instituted a program to stop veteran suicide that lasted like, I don't know, maybe 6 months with yoga, acupuncture, and something else. Well, guess how many acupuncturists were in that VA healthcare system until 3 months ago? 1 for all those hospitals. It was over a 90-day wait. Okay, so he put these flyers, veteran suicides going down, acupuncture, yoga, and I forget what the third one was. They canceled the yoga because there was only no one was showing up other than like 85-year-old people, and there was only 3 of them. So it was really good to put on a magazine. We VA stop veteran suicide real quick with these programs. They're not even open. You're lying.
Oh.
I could go on. So like VA healthcare, myself, especially what's going on, stuff like this, I'm glad that I get to go to a regular hospital because I literally can't. They're only dealing with COVID patients. They've sent everybody home, and good luck.
So I want to go to the second question Adam had, which was, are people making money from just, taking medications? I mean, have you guys, and this is another opinion of mine and just what I've seen in my experience, about, it's called Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Why do they call it that?
I mean, it's a big pharmacy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's what it is, right?
So I really just, everybody needs to go do their research. I want you to go see like what one of these companies of the medication, where does it come from? Like just different places. And there's a lot of money in big pharma.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem.
It's a dirty business. I think, Adam, you were telling me that the company that made the company that made fentanyl, weren't they going bankrupt, but they also were trying to create the patent for the cure or something like that last week you were telling me?
I don't know.
How many mushrooms did you take from that?
I don't think I said that because that's the first time I ever heard that. But
somebody declared bankruptcy, one of the big pharma companies. But I mean, we've all known it's been a dirty business for a while. You know what I mean?
Well,
I've taken pills this big that before I lost weight at 250 pounds, that dropped me to my knees.
Well, you can't patent nature. That's the problem, right? So in order for them to make money,
nature is free.
Exactly, and that's why it seems
there's
like
no money in that.
Here's the conspiracy theorist in me, but it seems like that's why you don't see. That's why there was all this pushback against making weed legal. That's why there's all this pushback against professionals using psychedelics. That's why there's all this pushback, because there's a lot of rich people who stand to lose a lot of fucking money if we can use nature, which to me is a no fucking brainer, to get through this shit than using the chemicals that they've patented. Like she was saying, Sean, up the dose. Here's more. Here, take another pill. Throw another fucking pill at you. Take all those emotions, stuff them all down. Don't worry about them. Cover them up with a pill. And that's what I've experienced. That's what it seems like it's like to me. And it's completely ass backwards to the way that human beings are supposed to be set up, to me. And, I just kind of took the floor from you, Tiffany, but you were speaking to that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, first of all, we can grow our own stuff. So, I can go outside right now and pick violets and make a violet elixir, and that is some kind of form of medicine. I love nettle. I forage for nettle, and nettle is an amazing antihistamine. There's medicine in weeds. And it's free, and it's outside right now. There's no money in that, first of all. Second of all, if we all took nature and the plant medicine she gave us, we become really aware. Yeah. And we wake up and if we're healed people, we're not in fear.
That's right.
And trauma is fear. And trauma continues to happen because of the fear that continues to happen.
And you were talking about money.
You were talking plant nutrition, right? And go ahead, Adam.
No, I was adding an exclamation point to what she said.
Oh, okay.
All that she was saying about fear and all the things that go along with that. That's what makes them money. Because if all of a sudden tomorrow we all, started figuring our shit out and hitting our shit head on and figuring out all our trauma and deciphering all these things in our brain, the establishment isn't interested in that at all. You know how much money they stand to lose from that? They want us in this constant state of fear. They want us constantly not trusting each other and divided and stay away from each other rather than, and that's the conspiracy theory to me, because that's what keeps the system going. That's what keeps all these billionaires making all their fucking money. And if had the opposite of that happens, they don't make any money anymore. They don't get to control us anymore. And we're not part of this system that they can fucking marionette us around on puppet strings. And I'm a conspiracy theorist for saying that, but that's what I believe.
But also look at the pattern. Like, it's not just, it's not a no-brainer. Like, look at where our country is and who are the people that keep us running. And media is full on fear, and it's on purpose.
Yeah,
and it's on purpose so that we can stay in this trauma, which is a lower vibration.
That's right.
And
I'm going to send you some stuff, Tiffany. I got something for you to watch this week. You'll be like, yeah, they did look into that.
Okay.
Well, and the same thing with like all the shit that we have going on. Like we were speaking of the pandemic earlier. Like when you actually go out like and look at, I know Sean, you're getting all fucking anxiety and shit because you don't want to talk about this shit right now. But
no, my left knee's fucking killing me. I'm gonna go to the ER right when we get off.
Oh, you were saying that too. See what happens when you assume you make an ass out of you and me. The point is, okay, so I'm just gonna say for me personally, like when I go to the store and I go out in public and I see the fear and the trauma and everyone's wearing this mask and we're supposed to stand in these lines, 6 feet away from each other, and then we get up to the thing, everyone's all walled off, and you hand them something, they're like, and they take it, like this all is so fucking destructive to our brains. And if this is the new reality we're going to be living in, it makes me wonder humans aren't supposed to behave like this. Humans are supposed to be with each other. We're pack animals. Yes. We're supposed to be embracing each other and hugging each other and be close to each other and be friendly, not fucking walling each other off and putting masks on. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at people couldn't even go to visit their families on Easter. They're telling people now, no, even stay away from your family. And all of this shit put together, I'm wondering, like, okay, we have this huge shit going on, but what are the consequences in this of our psychology, of our emotional trauma? People like you, Tiffany, are going to be huge now because there's going to be a lot of people They're going to have to be dealing with all this traumatic shit that they're not going to be able to get out, because what I'm saying right now, I'm an asshole to a lot of people, and they're going to feel like they're not going to be able to say, I want to see my family. I want to embrace people. That's not okay to say, and that's not okay to feel like that. And we're being told that, and people like you are going to be crucial for getting these feelings out.
There's a double-edged sword to that too, Adam. And you're right. You're right, because like for example, I'll use the VA, but I know other hospitals are doing the same. I mean, all elective surgeries, like orthopedic departments. I mean, some doctors are going down to the ER and stuff like that, but you can't get appointments anywhere. So if you have something happen and you're dealing with an injury or a mental health issue, like you were saying, Adam, you know what I mean? Or you'd have to find, if the hospital is closed, you would have to find something, a different way of thinking to heal yourself. You'd have to find someone in Tiffany's field to go, oh shit, the pharmacy's closed, the hospital. Damn, I think I just broke my leg, but they're not going to do surgery. The bone's not sticking out. Man, I need some pain relief. Something, you're going to have to find it. And I think this was a very good learning lesson for us. Like, oh, crap. I think a lot more prepper TV shows be coming on national TV.
And a lot of things you can do. Like, you may not be able to get psychedelics, of course. That's not all set up for us, or you may not have cannabis.
You can grow the spores, like you said. You can grow them.
I'm not saying anything.
I am. Grow the spores.
But what I'm saying is so during this quarantine, I've been using EFT. I've been using music, dancing, yoga, meditation, all my coping skills, just so that I can stay sane
Yeah.
I've been using
Especially as
music
a
too.
therapist. So
Adam, have you
yeah.
ever done yoga? I think we talked about this.
Yes. Well, I'm not like I don't know what I'm doing, but my friend Mara does. One of my friends does it, and she's always like, flipping out about how amazing it is. And I've looked at videos and I've tried to do it myself, and it's interesting because you were saying, Tiffany, that you were in a pose and you almost felt like this emotional release. And I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why like my face lit up and shit, because I experienced that exact same thing.
Mhm.
Some of these poses, like I try to pretend like I know what I'm doing, and like from like YouTube videos, and I've experienced that. Like it's almost like something got released, and I feel like I want to cry. Like it does.
What are the types of yoga? Like Adam, what type of yoga did you take? And for someone just like plants, I think for someone with injuries like myself, right, there would probably be a certain type of yoga. Like I think I'm interested. I think I'd probably have a breakthrough. Like I love working out when I'm like, if I start sweating, I'm like, I'm in it. Let's go. I think that hot yoga, right? I think the hot yoga with, it would be just like boot camp. You got to stand there and ants and the sweat and you just can't touch it. I think that would really help me go. If I could start getting some of those through some of those classes, I'd be like, I'm more powerful than I was yesterday before I walked in here. Hell yeah. And I'm more fluid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So what types of yoga did you like? And are there any that you didn't?
I do Rick Astley yoga. I play that song, Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down. And I like dance to that and do different poses. And that usually helps me. Yeah.
So
No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
I was like, so you just dance. Which is somatic therapy. Dancing is another way of expressing and getting energy out.
For sure.
So,
but for real, what's the real answer to that?
So there's so many different kinds of yoga, actually.
Okay.
One to get fluid movement of the body, because like that's where I'm like, you know what I mean? Like you said, like I'm going to a hospital also today, and I didn't know that. Like you just opened up my mind for, and we were discussing consciousness earlier. With my stuff and my symptoms, I'm very conscious when I'm about to have like a issue.
Yeah.
Like if it's I'm about to, but okay, I'm very conscious about stuff like that. So like I just want to be conscious of like which type of yoga would work. So it's really fluid, so I can get my joints.
For you, you probably need Vipassana, which is a more mild form of. It's a flow movement. And so it's not going to have hardcore, like if you did hot yoga, you're going to get a workout and you're definitely going to have intense poses. And if you're not going to
baby myself up to it.
Yeah, you might want to do that,
yeah.
Especially if you have trauma. There's also trauma-informed yoga that I would like to be trained in.
Really?
And so there is actually a book on overcoming trauma with yoga, I think it's called.
Okay.
So and the other thing is, like, if you know anything about herbs, just regular herbs you grow in the garden, if you're in pain, there's so much that you can use for that relief. Oils, essential oils, so much that you can use in that
We're
relief.
Gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to add that to my medical cabinet. Yeah.
Do you know kratom, Tiffany? Do you know anything about kratom?
No, I mean, I know that it's like something that people are talking about, but I haven't done any research on that.
I have some. I have some. There's a few different kinds. I am a beginner in this. I asked questions. Then we got a question that came in real quick, so they're starting to come in. This is an off day, right? This is going to get shared. That's why you're going to come on again, because people are going to watch and go, oh, shit, I really wanted to do this Sunday. But anyways, kratom, from what I understand, there's like 3 different kinds, right? So there's like a red, a green, and there's a different color. My friend Kevin, who was on recently with us, he kind of got me into it. Started taking a little bit. I'm a little bit funky, to be honest with you, with some things. Like CBD drinks work wonders.
Oh yeah.
CBD tinctures, great.
Yes.
Other forms of CBD, when it's like processed in like an edible or stuff like that. The smoke, I've tried that. It's not bad, but it's like, you know what I mean? I just kind of don't get some of that stuff. But like the kratom, I just haven't noticed anything yet. But there's different types. It's like,
what's the dose you're taking?
You'd have to ask someone like her that knew about it if she knew about it. Like I'm a beginner at it. You know
what I mean? Is it natural? Is it over the counter? I don't know.
It comes in a clear capsule. It's like it's like a powder.
It's a plant.
Yeah. I don't.
It
I haven't
can
done any
alleviate
research
pain.
on it.
Kevin swears by it. He's got back pain, and he and his wife notice when he's on it too. She's like, how many creative do you take? He's like, what? She's like, you're smiling and you're moving around and you're great. When he's not on it, he's like, ugh.
CBD did that for me. Like I take a CBD tincture every day, and so I wonder if it's also just different for everybody. Like I told you earlier, I don't know if I mentioned this, but like different psychedelics help with different things. So like ketamine is really known for like it's helping major depressive disorder. And then
last time I tried that, I was 16 working at Burger King, snorting it while we were serving burgers.
Yeah,
I wasn't using it for the
right. That's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Come on, man.
17. I was on my own.
Let's see. MDMA is known for like they're thinking, PTSD.
What about the microdosing? What is your thoughts on the microdose?
So here's what happens with if you were in a trial. Let's say you went to a therapist that was MDMA or psilocybin like trained. You would have a procedure to go through. And so what would happen is the doctor prescribes you these pills with the microdose. You would take it at home, but you would come back into therapy and you would process it. And you would take bigger doses in that therapy session as well, so that you can have like a, breakthrough at that.
Yeah.
But there is a process to it. So like you have to you have to there's a lot of work to it. But in the trials, you're microdosing. So they're actually given to you, in a pill form, and they're able to take that. And that's the thing is we don't have that right now. Like people can grow psilocybin shrooms, but they don't know the dosage. You don't know anything. You haven't done maybe they do the science on it, but they don't know what is in it or whatever.
When do you think those will be available for the first phase? Will probably be after the trial, like testing on people, right? I would assume they're already doing that.
They are.
What's the timeline? Maybe.
So trials are going on right now everywhere in institutions and universities. I read just the other day. So another source that you can put out there is called maps.org. They are awesome. They are they research all psychedelic stuff, and donate to them if you want to, so they can help, spread this research. But I read on them because I was reading the trials, and they're thinking probably for ketamine, FDA is going to be approved possibly 2020 or 2021. So that might be close. I think psilocybin it might be a little bit farther behind. I think that MDMA is a little bit more accepted than psilocybin. So there's a lot of trials out there though. So you guys can actually go find a trial if you want to, and find a facility, an institution, and see if they're taking clients, and you can be one of their people.
I'll do you one better. We'll just remain friends, and I'll just have you go, Sean, go here. Okay.
Okay.
We got a question from Crystal.
I got a buddy.
Yoga for someone who's new to it, who has back pain and PTSD and anxiety. Crystal, I have all of those, and I want to know that answer to that question too. She can go a little bit more into it again.
So, I would first and foremost just go to a yoga instructor or a yoga class. Vipassana is a really good, relaxing, flowing kind of movement. So you're not going to go into heavy duty poses, which would cause probably trauma to come out or anxiety to come out. You can try to find a trauma-informed yoga teacher in your area. And they can actually do one. So this is something I want to do. I want to do one-on-one sessions with my clients and teach them how to do yoga poses and how to work through that and how to build their practice. But first and foremost, I think that there's so many yoga places out there. And right now, since we're not able to socialize, there's so many free yoga online that you could start with. So
I see him smirking about not being able to socialize.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I would say Vipassana, Vipassana yoga, and try to find a yoga studio or a yoga teacher that you like. If they're trauma informed, awesome. you know.
Yeah.
So you might have to Google it, see if you can find it.
What about the Reiki? You were discussing Reiki. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just gonna say pastana one. That one sounds delicious, like with some meat sauce on there.
What?
Because you said
it's Vipassana. It starts with a V.
Oh, okay.
Vipassana.
So it's more of a.
I'm actually glad Adam said that because I wrote down Pasana.
Doesn't it sound good?
Okay,
it sounds like it has meatballs in there with like Alfredo sauce. But
you were discussing
the question
Reiki.
I had.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
yeah,
I do want to spell this though. I really do.
Yeah,
if
definitely.
I'm not saying it right, it's Vipassana. It's V as in Victor, I P A S A N A.
Vipassana.
Vipassana. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like an Italian treat on a Sunday.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
Well, it's Sanskrit. It's Sanskrit.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I was wondering about.
You're supposed to say thank you.
Okay. Yes, you did say thank you.
She's gonna look at Pasta Yoga.
She's like, thanks for the yoga and the recipe. I'm gonna try both of those things. But no, I was wondering about meditation because we got into a lot of things, yoga, psychedelics, and things. For me personally, I've got into like a borderline, almost psychedelic state, actually, into a psychedelic state from meditation. Long periods of meditation where you just clear and let your mind go. And I figured out a lot about myself through that and connected with my, I don't know if you want to call them chakras, whatever it is, but like had a mind body, like powerful connection through just meditation. That's it. Is that something that you're into too? Is
totally.
Meditation?
I started my meditation practice in 2014. And I have to say, so people that are watching, meditation is something that you have to practice at.
Yes.
It's not, so a lot of people are like, I can't just sit there in silence and empty my mind. It's not about that.
No.
So when I first started, I had to use guided meditations so I could kind of just understand how to do that. So YouTube.
Is that like with an assistant teaching you?
Yeah,
Alan
like
Watts?
if you go on YouTube, you can find so many guided meditations for so many different things. And I suggest that just if you're a beginner so that you kind of know how to get to those places. That's my best friend.
Hey, Christina.
She's the massage therapist I was talking about.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So meditation, what happens is we are constantly going. We're people we're busy. We have so many things that we got to distract ourselves, and people don't want to look at themselves.
Yeah, take a lead. My son wants popcorn real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So meditation makes you go inside and make you look at yourself. And a lot of people, that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. It is scary, even for me. Yeah. Now, I've been doing it for years, and it's still kind of scary.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I know.
That is so loud.
I try not to get mad at my kids. I'm like, guys, not right now. It's like another 20 minutes.
Poor kids.
What are they making? Popcorn or something?
Popcorn. Dude, they're just playing video games all day, and it's like, get outside the house. Oh, I don't want to. Like, we've had to take the Nintendos away. But anyways.
That's good. That's a distraction. Yeah. It's a distraction.
They need to meditate. That's right.
So
you're saying it's kind of scary sometimes to look in within yourself like
scary.
that.
Yeah. But I definitely meditate probably all day, every day. At this point, I feel like it's natural.
Yeah.
So it becomes such a practice that it just becomes very natural. So I can't function without meditation, and you don't want to be around me if I am not meditated that day.
I hear you.
Yeah.
How long do you meditate for? Like, can you come out of it when you want, or are you used to it and you have that now, or no?
So there's different kinds of meditation. I want to talk about that. So there's sitting down and your mudra and just sitting in silence and just like watching your thoughts and just being there. There's also like walking meditation. So some people can do better if you're just walking. And I have so many amazing epiphanies when I'm walking.
The
Like
meditation
so
and sleep,
many.
can they go hand in hand? Because like we used to go on hikes, the military, like long, heavy packing back. And I would remember I would sleep for like 10, 15 seconds. And my body, I would just like, I had nothing left. It was like at the end of a marathon.
That's happened to me.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that's happened to me. Yeah. You kind of doze off for a second.
Are you sure?
Turn it off.
Are you sure you and are you sure
Not
you
yet.
fell
We gotta
asleep? You might have gone to a deeper set of consciousness that you're not going to remember. That happens a lot for people. They're like, I went somewhere, but I have no idea where I went. And that's because they went really deep into their consciousness.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in all that, like understanding how we get to that place. Because like I said, when you first start meditating, you're in ego. It's like, blah, 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 blah. But when you get like, I'm like 5 years into my practice, I'm able to be like, oh, I hear you. Okay, bye. Like I'm able just to be aware of my consciousness, but then I'm able to be like, okay, I'm going to forget that. I want to go deeper. So meditation is also assisted with breath work. So breathing and meditation go hand in hand.
Dan Brule?
Dan Brule?
Yeah.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
He travels the world. He's friends with Tony Robbins. Mastery of breath work.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
He's the guy. He's the guy. One of the martial arts forms I still train, but not as much as I did. But it's all still there. I did it for like 15 years, 17 years, still running now. There's empty hands, but knife fighting and stuff like that. But that teacher really dove in. He just didn't dive into footwork and physicalities. No, he dived into mental psyche, and one of the things was breath work. And he preaches that he would not be able to travel the world and teach people what he does if he didn't have breath work down.
I believe it. I really do.
But I'm still new to that.
Yeah.
Huge.
Dan Brule's written a lot of books. Yeah.
I mean, we live off of the air we breathe. Like we have to breathe to live. And so with trauma, I didn't realize I wasn't breathing. I was having shallow breaths when I just breathed in from my chest. That's not a full breath. A full breath is coming from your whole stomach and filling it all up where you have expanded your lungs, and then you let go. And there's so much that happens to your brain and your body when you can breathe properly. So much.
His name's Dan Brule, Brule. He actually he wrote the foreword to Tony Robbins' book, and he's actually the world's foremost expert and renowned pioneer in the field. He's that guy.
Okay.
He's very approachable. You could hit him up online, and he's busy and stuff like that. But he's just like, if you want to meet the calmest person on earth, who's always smiling, that's Dan.
That's cool. I got him pulled up, so I'll look into it. Yeah. So meditation and breath work, they have to go hand in hand. Yeah, because actually your focus always starts at the breath. So starting to breathe in deeply and breathe out. And by the third breath of a deep breath, you can feel a physical change in your body. Yeah. So you can just do breathing meditation, and that's just good enough too.
Do you ever feel like I don't know if you know what I mean by this, but like sometimes when I get deep into it, I feel like my consciousness in my body are two separate entities. Like it's like almost like it gets separated, and I don't even understand that I'm a person anymore. And it's like I'm in the ether land, or so to speak.
It's called astral travel. It's called astral travel.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
So it's called astral travel. So it's like this is a spiritual thing. So there's no science behind it that I'm.
That's okay.
But when we can get to a place of awareness and consciousness, I don't know what level we have to get into to get to that place. We have a soul, a higher self that's attached to us.
I love it.
So, like, you know, the umbilical cord was attached to us when we were born. Well, we have a spiritual cord, and it's to our higher self, which is the other self, which is the higher, like, this is the person that is not with fear and is who they really are. Like, that's your higher self, that's your truest self. So, like, you probably got to a place where you got so deep into that meditation that you were able to, like, notice that you had that string, and you were able to notice that you are also the spirit and this higher self. So, like, there's different, and this is another thing we can go into about energy and the different layers that we have from our body, outside our body. It just goes on and on and on. So yeah, it's called astral travel. So look it up.
Wrote it down.
Okay, good.
I got like a novel going here. We're gonna have to, like, this is gonna be a thing.
Well, because it's very similar to like a psychedelic experience. Because that astral travel thing you were saying, like when I went deep on psychedelic, it's the same feeling I've had.
So here's the thing. Here's what I want to do is I don't want us just to rely on psychedelics, because the thing is, it's all about consciousness.
Right.
This is it. So there is so many ways we can get to that place where it's like a psychedelic. So right now I have really gotten I'm doing breath work with a really awesome community right now. And oh my goodness, it was like a psychedelic trip, but I was not on any drugs. And it was from breath work. So like breath work, meditation. When I do EMDR with my clients, it's like a psychedelic trip for them. Because I guide them through this path of trauma and thoughts, and they go into different like tunnels, and we go to the root of things and we get rid of it. And it's like so awesome. So we don't need to have psychedelics to get to these points. I mean, psychedelics are probably faster. They're definitely probably people that have cancer who are dying, addiction issues, things that are really more severe probably need that. But like for us that are functioning, we can use other body mind medicines.
I love that.
For free. Get more people in you know, how do you get more people in to see you, or better yet, how do you get people to change, other than education, how do you get them to change their thought process of, well, no, I have to call the hospital, where they could just do like a couple hours of research and maybe open their front door and walk a quarter mile in the neighborhood and find someone like you and go, man, I really needed that. And I didn't have a 45-day wait for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Unfortunately I am full now, so I can't take any more.
Here comes the next question. See? Is Tiffany taking on new patients?
I wish I could. Of course I can't take everybody. But I have plans. I want to go bigger. So I don't know what that looks like right now. I want to help more people, and maybe this is it. Maybe this is just
a podcast.
Yeah, well, seriously. I got all the equipment and I'm ready for it. So I think that is something I want to do, because I feel like that's how it needs to get out. It needs to be spoken about. So yes, I actually got podcast equipment probably a few months ago, and I actually plan to start one.
Yes.
So
and we'll help you out. We'll promote you. We'll do all that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, that would be awesome, because all I want to do is help people. And awesome. So I'm not taking any clients right now, but you know what? There's so many other therapists that are taking clients, and there are therapists that are holistic. So I have an awesome colleagues of my school. They're all holistic therapists. Go to Psychology Today. If you go to Psychology Today, you can look up therapists and look for one in your area. Look at their profile. I have everything on my profile. I tell people what I do, what I'm trained in, what I'm specialized in. Go to Psychology Today and look at all these therapists. I'm going to tell you what, there's not a lot of holistic minded therapists.
I think you're going to see a shift though.
I hope I can change that. I would like to help in that movement, very much so. So just go to Psychology Today and look in your area for therapists and see if they're doing some of the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. Adam, You got anything else? Before like, yeah, please, we'll talk after this, right? Like, we would love to help set you up. A little brief about podcasting. It looks like it's easy, right? Like right now we're on our cameras, but like we had a studio and different studios and radio studios, whatever. We've had people. Thank God, Adam's been doing it on his own for a while, and I did it with partners, and I did it by myself here and there. There's a lot that over 2 years that we've learned, and it looks like anybody can do this. But once this shuts off, there's so many other things that we have moving to get this and projects that are attached to this. It takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can give you the shortcuts to all.
Yeah, we can give you the shortcut.
Awesome. I would really appreciate that.
And we would love to have you on again. However your schedule fits, like whether it's monthly or something like that. Because if we have people that have questions, but because they do, we would love to come on and be like, and if it's only 10 minutes at night, 15 minutes, that's fine. Because like I'm getting back into some MMA analyzing and stuff like that, because you could ask me anything about any different league and I could be like, that person trains this is their mother's name, this is the gym they went to, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have someone that we can reflect questions to if we can't answer those.
Totally.
I'm a huge fan of, I don't have the answer but I can find out. I don't like to give the wrong answer. So we would love to have you on, and I want to pick your brain and go over a couple of these books just personally. We'd be like, yeah, I read that. This is what I thought. And you know what I mean? 'Cause I love to learn, and I love the fact that you just want to help people, because that's like my life's passion. You know what I mean? And I know Adam started a lot of his podcasts to find answers to stuff, because he's interested in things, and he doesn't want the wrong answer on things. Like he wants what's right. His thought provoked things, and that's why he got into this stuff. And it's just, we love people that come on where we get to sit back and learn about you, and people that are watching, they get to learn from you while we're just sitting back and they're learning something we don't know. It's just awesome. We just love doing this. We would love to give you the shortcut and help. Coming on. Adam, what do you got, brother?
Yeah.
Well, I've learned today that Vipassa is not an Italian dish. This is something that I was very mistaken on. And for real though, I've learned a lot, and I've got a lot out of this, and hopefully any audience watching this did too, because we explored a lot of things. I played devil's advocate a little bit on some things, and we just, tossed around some ideas, and it was phenomenal. And I appreciate you, Tiffany, so much for coming on.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. Thank you.
Guys. I want to give you one more resource for those who are really interested in psychedelics. There is a book out by Michael Pollan, and it's How to Change Your Mind. I'll kind of like try to.
I see it.
And what's the new science of psychedelics?
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Keep that right there.
Okay. So this is a random guy.
No.
You got it. No.
Hold on. No, we're gonna have to go that one. Sorry.
No luck.
No.
It's called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. But he also started later in his life too. Oh, here you go, guys.
Cool.
So he also started late in his life with experiencing with psychedelics, and he wrote about his journey in this, and it's really eye-opening. I haven't gotten through the whole thing. It's a pretty thick book, but it's interesting. So there's that.
Nice. Well, I want to say thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
We could talk for hours, and we're going to have you on again. You know what I mean? Because like we talk about all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's comedy. We'll get into that this Tuesday, but like we get into these conversations, stuff like this. Somewhat rarely. Maybe it's a small part of it or a bigger part, and with some of our large community of us here in Massachusetts. A lot of us have injuries. That's why we sought out a different type of pain relief, right? So there's a lot of people that are very interested in this topic, and we want to say thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate you for this time on Sunday. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I feel like this has actually been just the universe. I don't even know how I got here, but the universe knows. And so I just think this is awesome. So thanks so much for letting me talk and share my research and share myself. So I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. And for anybody that's listening, do us a favor, hit the like and share button like we always say. However, this Tuesday. Shenanigans.
Laughter therapy is what we call it. Laughter therapy. Woohoo.
Tune in
That's right.
Tuesday because we've had both these individuals on. One of them is a very close friend. The other one's a good friend, and we've never had them in the same place. They are the funniest, most moronic, most intelligent people that will just make you butt-gusting laugh for 2 hours. This Tuesday, 6:30 to 8, around that area. Tune in. Just tune in,
That's
people.
right.
It'll be fun. If you want to laugh Tuesday, people, whoever's watching, Tuesday, just watch. Call my bluff. Pay attention to 5 minutes. I guarantee you'll laugh the first 5 minutes. The first two. You got anything, Tiffany, that you want people to go where they can find your page, how they can get in touch with you, what the name of your business is, blah blah blah.
Really easy. My website is tiffany-mcbride.org. And then you can find me on Facebook under Tiffany McBride. My business page is on there, and then I also have a personal page, and you can be my friend. That's fine too.
I think the only reason why I didn't tag you in the Evolve, I don't know if you probably did. I'll figure it out, or Adam can. I was going to tag you in that. We can do that after the show too, and give people a link where they can get in touch with you.
Sure. Yes.
All right, cool. What about you, brother?
Well, that was everything, man. You know, everything's great. I'm gonna go make myself some kind of pasta dish. It's not gonna be the same.
It's hot out, dude. You should go to the 7-Eleven. Get a slushie.
Something. I don't know. I've been staying off the carbs. I've been doing keto lately, so I'm not gonna be doing any kind of Italian. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's all my stupid shit. So yeah, everybody go visit Tiffany's website, and hopefully we can have you on again. That was fantastic.
Definitely. I'm here.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And for everybody that was watching and commenting, thank you. Again, we'll be on Tuesday, 6:30. Please tune in. If you don't, and I've never said this, it will be your loss because I will be laughing the whole time. I'm a guest on my own show on Tuesday with these two morons. I mean, it's just, that's how awesome it is. So thank you very much. Please hit the like and share button. Hope everyone has a blessed day. And Tiffany, we'll be speaking to you again. You are amazing. Thank you for taking the time.
Awesome.
God bless.
Thanks. Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.
Have a good day, people. That was easy.
Yeah.